Well, welcome to step 2 of the Grow Track. My name is Tim. I'm one of the pastors here at Echo.Church. Last week, we talked about what it means to know God and to have a relationship with Him. If you missed it, please come back next week to continue step 1 of the Grow Track and join us next month. But today is step 2, and we're going to be talking all about connecting because we believe that God's best for us can only be experienced in the context of community. That freedom from our past and from our shame is only found when we're connected. And for us here, that begins with the local church. And so my hope for you today is that you'll be confident that after our time together, that South Bay Church could be the place for you to call home, and that you can find a community where you can belong. But before we get into the content of today, I want to share with you a little bit about the backstory to our church and its early beginnings. And so the story of South Bay Church and the vision for it started all the way back during Andy's high school year. Now, at the time, on top of all the regular pressures of high school life, Pastor Andy's parents were also in the process of divorce. And it was at that time that God met him right where he was. And Andy gave his life to Jesus, and through that he found new joy, he found peace, he found fulfillment. And even though everything that had been going on in his life, even though he was still going to church, what was happening internally in his heart and in his life did not match the experience that he was having at his traditional church. It made it even all the more difficult wanting to share with his friends what God was doing in his life, yet feeling almost embarrassed to invite his friends to the church that he was attending at the time. And so that's when he prayed to God and said, God, if you would ever use me to start a church for people like my friends, now that's what I want to do. Now, the years went by, but the seed for what would become South Bay Church was planted. And the vision in him would continue to grow over the years. After graduating from seminary, Andy and his wife Stacy felt clearly the call to start a church. The kind of church that Andy prayed God would use him to start all the way back in his high school days. But they had one question. The question was, where? Where do we start this church? And so Andy and Stacy grabbed a whiteboard, they drew a map of the whole country in the United States, marked off some of the most influential regions and cities, and started praying over every single one of them. And after visiting a few places, Andy and Stacy ended up in the Bay Area. And it was there that they saw the beautiful diversity of the people that live here, the inspiring potential of technology that's being developed, the influence that this region has not only on our country, but all the way around the world. And it was there as they were in a Pete's Coffee, a very spiritual place in the middle of Santa Clara, that they both realized this is it. And so they packed their bags. They moved across the country along with 3 other families to start a new kind of church in the Silicon Valley. And it was in February of 2009 that we had our grand opening at South Bay Church when we first met at Don Calajon School in Santa Clara. And what happened at that time was nothing short of a miracle. We saw God do more than we could have ever imagined. The church grew quickly. We were adding services. We were seeing more and more people giving their lives to Jesus, more people getting baptized, more people connecting in life-giving community through life groups, and life change happening week after week. Then in 2012, God opened up the doors for our church to move into what is now our North San Jose campus. And it seemed unthinkable for a church that was only 3 years old to find a permanent building, yet here we were and God made it happen. The church continued to grow over time and we were reaching beyond our capacity with all the services that we had. And that's when we realized we had so many people who were coming to South Bay Church all the way from the Sunnyvale area and the peninsula, and they were attending weekly on the weekend in San Jose. And so we thought, what if we started a new location in Sunnyvale? So in spring of 2014, we opened our Sunnyvale campus and right away saw it growing. A couple years later, Philip Pattison, a pastor at a church in South San Jose called Twin Oaks, approached us saying, what if Twin Oaks became your South San Jose campus? And that process moved forward. And so on Christmas 2015, we became one church with 3 locations. And so here we are, 8 years of history and seeing God do amazing things, expanding our vision way beyond what we could have imagined. And today we can dream together of a day when there is a campus connected to this church, or a church plant within 10 to 15 minutes of every person in the Bay Area. And that's not so that our name as a church can be great, but it's so that people can experience the love of Jesus, so that those who are far from God can find peace, so they can find hope and joy. And today you're being invited and making history at a place that is currently 93% unchurched, unreached with the message of Jesus. And we dream of the day when that's not the story anymore, where there are thriving churches that we have helped start, where there's more and more people who are following Jesus and experiencing His grace, where the Bay Area is no longer known for resistance to the message of Jesus, but they're known for a movement that resounds from here and all over the world. You know, as a church, that's why we use technology to be a multi-site church, so we're not limiting ourselves to what God wants to do within our own human capacity. But through technology, we can leverage everything that we have available to us to see a movement begin here in the Silicon Valley. Now, today, as we're going to be talking about South Bay Church and how to connect, I want to let you know that everything that we do as a church is modeled by the 4 steps of the Grow Track. And it's our hope that every person that walks through our doors will be able to take these 4 steps, and they would experience the fullness of what God has for them. And so as you're taking notes today and you look inside of your booklets, the first thing that we do as a church is that we lead people to know God, and we do this through our weekend experiences. Now, for many people, the weekend experiences is where they primarily learn about God and hear about Him for the first time. And we believe that every person, no matter what their background, where they've come from, where they find themselves on their spiritual spectrum, has a place here at South Bay Church, a place where they can grow and a place where they can connect. And we've designed our experiences specifically for people who have no church background. In fact, if you're a long-time follower of Jesus and you've been coming to church for a long time, and you're coming here simply with the expectations of receiving, then I believe you're going to struggle here. Because we really believe that as a church, we are meant to exist for the world and not for ourselves. We are the church. And you see over and over in Scripture, Jesus tells us again and again how His primary concern was to find those who are lost. And because Jesus said so, that's also our primary concern. If you're passionate about helping people connect, if you're passionate about helping people find a relationship with God, then you're going to love it here. So the first and primary thing that we do as a church is to help people know God. Now, the second thing that we do as a church is we help people find freedom, and we do so through life groups. We believe that life transformation happens primarily in circles, not just in rows. I know that for a lot of us, we can't even remember the last 5 sermons that we've heard, but we're always going to remember the last 5 relationships that have had an impact on us. Because in the end, our lives are shaped by the relationships that we have with one another. Because life transformation happens primarily in circles, not just in rows. And that's why we do life groups. Life groups are typically groups of about 8 to 15 people. They meet weekly or bi-weekly in places all over the Bay Area. And our groups go through all kinds of topics and activities to help people connect in meaningful friendships, to help people grow in their relationship with God. They help serve to make a difference. And we have all kinds of groups at South Bay Church. Some groups do Bible studies together. Others go over books, and they do books for men and for women. We have groups that focus for young professionals. But then we also have groups that do activities together. We have groups that bond over running and cycling, even scuba diving. We have groups that do service projects and reach out to the community and make a difference. All of these things are creating environments for people to be able to connect. And we have leaders across all of our campuses who are leading around their passions in order to make a difference in the lives of people. That's why we really believe that even a recreational group that goes cycling or running or even fly fishing can be used to make a difference. Because life groups connect passions to life transformation. So no matter what kind of group you're participating in, whether it's a sermon study or you're doing a recreational or activity group, whether you're doing a parenting or a financial workshop, all of our life groups will give you an opportunity to do three things. Now, if you're taking notes, this is for you to write down. The first thing that groups will help you do is groups will help you grow in your relationship with God. Secondly, groups help you connect in life-giving relationships. And lastly, groups help you serve others and make a difference. Grow, connect, serve. This is how running a group can be more meaningful than just a social hangout. This is how a Bible study can be more than an information download, but something that's actually life-giving. This is how a parenting group can just be more than tips and advice, but it can actually create a support system for families to be able to get through the tough season of life. All of our groups go through the steps to create an environment to give life and to help you connect, to help you grow, and to make a difference. You see, groups at South Bay Church every semester fall through this cycle. We have a fall and a spring semester that run for 16 weeks and then a short summer session in between. Each semester, you're invited to join in a group based on your interests and your schedule and based on what works best for you. Now, as life groups run for a semester, at the end of it, you'll have an opportunity to decide whether you want to continue with your group or take a break or maybe make a change for the following semester. We know that every season of life changes. Our needs and our schedules need adjusting, and the types of community that we need during those times need to change as well. Or maybe you're in a place where you're ready to lead a group of your own and you can start something yourself. So we've established that the primary step that we take as a church is to help people know God. Secondly, we help people find freedom. And that happens primarily in the context of community. And we do that here at South Bay Church through our life groups. Now, the third thing that we do as a church is we help people discover their purpose through the Grow Track. The Grow Track's singular purpose and the whole reason why it exists is to help you identify what God has created you to do. The two best days of your life are, number one, the day you were born, and two, the day you discover why you were born. And as we're going through this Grow Track together, our hope is that you would discover the way that God has wired you, the gifts, the talents that He has given you, and the purpose that He has for your life to make a difference. And as you're taking the step today to go through the Grow Track with us, I sincerely believe with all my heart that you are one step closer to experiencing the purpose that God has for your life. That there is nothing that will make a greater difference for you today and for the people around you than to discover what God has planned for you and to be in line with the calling and the purposes that He has created for your life. Now, going back to our notes, the fourth and last step of everything that we do here as a church is that we lead people to make a difference. And we do that as a church through the Dream Team. This is where your talents, your spiritual gifts, your experiences, your hearts, and your passions all come together to make a difference in the lives of people around you. At South Bay Church, we believe that the local church is the hope of the world. That there is no greater place that you can make a difference in the lives of people around you and in our community. And so that's why we always encourage people to engage and to make a difference right here at church. And for us, the Dream Team is where it happens. We call it the Dream Team because this is the team that makes the dream and the vision of South Bay Church a reality. A church that is unlike any other. A church for people who have no background or context for what church is like. A church for people who have no understanding of the unlimited power, the unlimited grace of what God has for everyone. The Dream Team are the people who make our weekend experiences an incredible experience every single week. They're the ones who are investing in the next generation, in Bay Kids and in Ignite for our students. They're the very first people that you'll see at the front doors to welcome you and make you feel loved and cared for. They're the people who will open up their home and create an environment where community can build and healthy relationships can thrive. Our Dream Team are the ones who are reaching outside the walls of the church. They're the ones who are going in the community to make a difference, but not just in our city, but around the world. You see, South Bay Church is not built just on a few staff or a pastor. It is built on an army of people who have given themselves to the mission. People who believe that this dream and our nation and our world is in need of a God's love for them, and they're willing to surrender and give up their gifts and their talents and their time to make a difference in the lives of people. All of us have areas in our lives at which we're a 10. Nobody's good at everything. All of us have something that we're great at. All of us have those things in our lives where we're serving in some capacity and we're like, man, I wish that I could give my life to this. Or even maybe you've heard yourself say, I wish I could do this all the time. Well, we want to help you identify what that is and how you can leverage it to make a difference in the lives of people. And so I want to encourage you to come back next week as we'll help you discover your purpose, to identify it and what those things are in your life that you can use today to make a difference and join a dream team to be able to apply them. And what I really want to drive home today for you is to understand that one of the most important steps you can take at South Bay Church is joining a life group. There's no better place for you to be able to experience life-giving relationships in the context of community. Life groups are the best place where you can connect in such a way. I shared earlier about all our groups and how they're helping people grow in their relationship with God. Life groups help you to connect in meaningful friendships and in a community, and they help you serve to make a difference. You see, it takes more than just attending a service on the weekend to be able to connect in meaningful friendships. It takes intentional environments for us to get to know people. You see, even as we're looking through scriptures and we look at the early church in Acts chapter 2, we see the accounts there of Luke, who's writing a historical account of the early church, and he says this. In Acts chapter 2, every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes, they ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their numbers daily those who were saved. You see, they would meet together as a whole church to come and worship. But it was in homes that they were able to break bread together. It was in homes that they were able to build community and support one another. It was there in homes that they were in circles that the real life transformation was able to happen. It was in the context of relationships. And all of us want this. We all want to have a place where we can belong, a place where we can be known. And life groups are the perfect environment in which you can build those kinds of relationships. Life can be rough at times, but it is by all means not meant to be lived on our own. That's why God created and invented community. For us, we're meant to be together. That's why life groups help people find freedom. Even after we've said yes to Jesus and we've committed our lives to following him, we still have to deal with our hurts. We all have hang-ups and screw-ups and things that happen in our lives, and we all need one another to support one another. Even James, who is the half-brother of Jesus, you see him say in chapter 5 of the letter that he wrote, he said, "Therefore confess your sins to each other and pray to each other so that you may be healed." See, this verse says that if we confess before one another, not just before God, we can find healing in our lives. That's how we can find freedom. Through life groups, I've seen men struggling with years of addiction put it behind them. I've seen people struggling with depression being able to overcome it. I've seen families find financial freedom. I've seen shyness being turned into boldness. I've seen insecurities being turned into passions. I've seen skepticism being turned into faith. And as we build together on this, and as we share with one another, as we connect in meaningful, life-giving relationships, it's only then that we can find freedom. It's part of the design of how God created us. And it's why there is a longing and desire in all of us to belong and to be connected. So don't miss this opportunity today and connect to the life-giving relationships and community in the context of life groups. Because God's plan for you is not to go through this life alone. This is what we're all about as a church. We help people to know God, to find freedom, to discover their purpose, and to make a difference. And today, I want to invite you to be a part of this movement and to make an intentional decision to make South Bay Church your home. People who call South Bay Church their home live life on mission. And that means that we're not just consumers, but we are contributors to a purpose that is far greater than ourselves. When you make South Bay Church your home, not only are you joining a community, but you're joining a vision and a dream to see a region and the world that is changed by God's love. So today, join a life group and find a place where you can belong and connect in a community. Be a part of something that's far greater than yourselves and allow God to use your life to be changed and to be used to make a difference with those around you. You can use a card that's been given to you and indicate the next steps that you're taking. Join a life group and let us know how we can help you connect in a meaningful community. Maybe you're here today and you're ready to take the next step and lead a life group to make a difference by leveraging your passions and using them for life transformation. No matter what, we want to help you take the next step that God is leading you towards, to support you, to resource you, and to encourage you. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to pass you back over to our campus host, and they'll be able to walk you through how to join our life groups and which ones will be the best fit for you. But before we do, we're going to watch a short story of someone whose life was forever changed through our life groups and the difference that it has made for them as it connected into a life-giving community.